Hello there, my name is Anna Lundberg and I'm the founder of One Step Outside, where we help people around the world create a business and build a lifestyle that brings them more freedom, flexibility and fulfilment. And last week we kicked off this new personal branding series that we're going to be exploring on the blog, on the podcast and on video over the next few weeks. It's a big topic, so I thought we'd break it down into some different elements. Last week we kicked things off by exploring why personal branding is so important, whether we're an entrepreneur or business owner in particular, freelancer or even an employee. So if you've missed that, you can check out the blog at onestepoutside.com/blog, and you can also find the podcast at reimaginingsuccesspodcast.com. This week I thought we'd begin to explore how we can craft that personal brand. So it's not about making something up or lying, it's about understanding what we stand for, who we are, what our story is. So how can we go about finding the story that we want to tell, whether online or offline? And a nice place to start, and maybe you want to grab a pen and paper or come back to this later because I will be talking through 5 key elements to consider. The first place to start is with why. And I probably don't need to tell you about Simon Sinek and his start with why concept. Very simple model of why, how, what. Do watch his TED Talk from 2009, How Great Leaders Inspire Action, if you're not familiar with that. But the idea is really very relevant to the personal brand as well. Again, people buy from people. They don't just want to know that you do this consulting or that copywriting or this graphic they design. They'd love to understand the story behind the business, who you are, what you believe in, and why they should care. So your bigger why is incredibly important. And while you may know why you started your business, and perhaps you wanted time with your family, you wanted to work less and so on, that may be less relevant to your clients. What they want to know is, why do you care about helping them with this incredible thing that your product or service does? What's the bigger picture? What's the impact you want to have in the world? So number 1, start with your bigger why. Number 2, that flows directly out of that why, is uncovering your core values. And values are especially important when it comes to your personal brand. We talk about them a lot in the corporate environment, but they're quite generic. It's sort of integrity, honesty, leadership, great customer service and so on. But again, in a service-based business like mine, if I'm a consultant or coach, then my values really are the values of the business. And if you're working with me on your most personal journey and questions and what am I going to do in my career and how do I build my business, then you really want to know that we share sort of the same ground in terms of our core values. They may not be identical, but at least we need to respect that and know where we're coming from. So really understanding what you want to stand for, what are the things that I really bring to the table consistently day to day in my personal life and in business. And knowing what those values are, maybe 3 to 5 core values, is really going to guide your strategic choices, whether you use this kind of messaging or that, this look and feel or that look and feel, how you choose the types of clients you work with and so on. So they need to be meaningful to you and to your clients, and they need to be actionable so that you know in your day-to-day life, okay, how am I actually going to reflect the fact that I value creativity or whatever it might be. So what are your core values? Number 3 is your skills and strengths, because again, especially as a consultant, as a coach, your skills and strengths are really what you bring to the table, and this is what your clients care about, and colleagues and peers or whatever it might be. So think about your hard skills, the really more quantifiable sort of formal qualifications and skills. Your softer skills that you've learned over experiences over time, the more interpersonal skills, and then also your personal traits, your character attributes that are probably more or less innate. They can be developed, but certainly some things come more naturally to you than to other people. So think about all those skills and strengths, and think beyond the obvious things like the job title and the job description. You know, you've had a rich history of different roles, and you may have been pitching to senior management or negotiating or collaborating with agencies, whatever it might be. So you probably have a lot more skills and strengths than you realise. So we started with the why, we have the values, we have your skills and strengths. The next one is really understanding what results you can bring to your clients. And this is where there's a big overlap between your personal brand and your business brand. But it's understanding what's the A to B that you're going to take a client through. And I think the biggest mistake I see people make is that we stay very superficial. I'm a copywriter, I help clients write great copy. I'm a designer, I help clients with great design. I am a personal trainer, I help my clients with training. Yes, but going back a little bit to Simon Sinek's, okay, fine, you're delivering this particular product or service, but does the customer actually care about that as a business? Do I care that you're giving me great copy? Maybe. I'm a writer, I enjoy good copy as much as the next person, but actually as a business, what do I care about? I care that that copy is attracting the right clients, I care that it's converting prospects into clients, and I care basically that it's going to grow the business, deliver more sales and bring me money. So fundamentally, most companies of course want profit, we want sales. The personal trainer, yes, I want to have a training program, nutrition, sure, but ultimately I want to lose weight, I want to feel good, look good, be confident and so on. As a father with young children, I want to regain that energy and have the energy to be able to play with my young children, for example, much more than, oh, I want a training regime and so on. So really think about the ultimate result that you're helping people get beyond the how and the what of what you're delivering. And then finally, you want to consider the evidence and credibility. So yes, you've made all these wonderful claims, but how can you actually substantiate that? So it may be that you have formal qualifications, awards, accolades and so on, and that is a part of it. But look beyond those formal qualifications and titles and so on, and think about how else can you support your claims. One big area is testimonials. So rather than me tell you that I'm good at something, I can have my clients either come on video or write a little blurb for me saying, I loved how Anna did this, she always helped me with that, this is the result that I got. So a testimonial from a client is very powerful. If I'm good at public speaking, rather than say I'm very good at public speaking, I can put a clip of me actually speaking so you can decide for yourself. I can share some feedback from the audience, and again, maybe a testimonial from a client I've worked with. If I say I'm good at writing, rather than saying I'm good at writing, I can actually demonstrate that via the writing that I do. So find a way to demonstrate the credibility to support your skills and strengths, possibly a mixture of the formal accolades and awards and so on, which are particularly important when you're working with corporate clients, and then also some of the more practical experiential things. By the way, one area of credibility could be that you've experienced this yourself. I've gone from A to B. I left my corporate 9 to 5 to set up my own business that's sustainable and that I'm going to stay with for the next few years and supports all that freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. So that perhaps is enough to justify that I can actually help you do that too. I've written a book about it. I've coached ex-clients on it and I have those testimonials. So think about how you can weave together that story. So I've gone through a lot. We started with the why, we looked at values, your skills and strengths, the results you can help people with, and then finally, of course, the credibility and evidence to back it all up. So that's a bit of a guide as to some of the elements that might make up your personal brand. I appreciate I went through that quickly. Again, you can check out the blog with more details later this week, onestepoutside.com/blog, or the podcast reimaginingsuccesspodcast.com. And next week, as we continue the personal branding series, I'll be back with how to get comfortable with the idea of selling yourself, because it can feel a little bit sleazy to put yourself forward. This whole idea of personal branding, it's still a bit uncomfortable. We're going to get to grips with that next week. And believe me, I certainly was no natural born salesperson. You don't have to be. There are techniques and strategies to begin to get more comfortable with the idea and then to practice and actually implement that so it becomes a lovely natural part of your strategy. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.